Hola, ¿qué tal amigos? Bienvenidos a otro Jenny Live. Espero que estén teniendo una hermosa noche. Únanse a nosotros en miamitvhd.com o en Miami TV, donde sea que nos estén viendo. Recuerden de que nuestro chat al público es miamitv.chatbro.com y estamos en vivo e en directo. Ayer espero que hayan tenido un hermoso Día de Acción de Gracias, si es que lo celebran, por supuesto. Nosotros estuvimos haciendo un super show desde los bares de Tulum con nuestros retos de energía sexual, así que por eso decidí mejor saltear el día de ayer. Hoy estamos con ustedes. What's up, guys? Welcome, everybody. Hope you're having an amazing evening. Join us in MiamiTVHD.com. We have Miami TV once again open for everybody to watch, by the way. If you want to join us, our chat is miamitv.chatbro.com. And tonight we are live also on YouTube, Facebook. I'm still thinking if I want to be on TikTok. I'm going to leave it in pause for now. There's like those nights that you just don't want to have too much reach, you know? So that's one of those nights. So let's see how our topics go for this evening. ¿Cómo estamos? Welcome. Premiere. No, Premiere should be still there, you guys. Okay, so let me open our YouTube. Vamos a abrir el YouTube. Ahí estamos para tener también ese chat y pueden interactuar también a través de ahí. El único que no voy a poder estar leyendo es el de Facebook, chicos, así que si nos ven por ahí, pues gracias y bienvenidos. A ver, acá estamos. Hola Jesús, bienvenido, Emilio, Vicente, Chris, Guillermo, ¿cómo estamos? Hello John, welcome guys, join us. Muy bien, el día de hoy tenemos un tema que tendríamos que haber guardado para la fecha de Halloween, o sea, un poquito espeluzante. Sin embargo, hay cada vez, no sé si es, o no sé si es que me lo muestran a mí, o es que cada vez hay más información sobre los reptilianos que puedan estar por aquí en nuestro mundo. ¿Qué opinan ustedes? ¿Falso, conspiración, real? Ya hay mucha gente pues con sus historias, ¿no? Por supuesto, que han salido de los grupos de la élite y terminan contando ciertas historias ¿cómo sería? ¿Espesulantes? No. Bueno, eso. y voy a leer un artículo para ver ustedes qué opinan, si puede ser verdad o no. Hola, Alex. Ya me senté, la vueltita era para el principio. Hi, Saeed. Welcome. Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit about reptilian parasites today. I know, it's freaky. We should have saved this for Halloween, but you know what? I bumped into it now, so we're going to talk about it now. I don't think we've ever talked about people in the elite or people being controlled by reptilians. Freaky kind of topic, right? And yes, there is a lot of people that do believe that even in the high points of the government, there are people that are not human controlling our planet. I can't tell you yes or no, but what I can tell you is that there are reptilians in our planet. Yes, absolutely. It's and a lot of them don't even come from anywhere else. They come from within the earth. So what do you think? Do you believe in this? Do you think it's BS? And let's see what this article says. The executed clones, doubles, and real lizard reptilian parasites. It's been reported that many public figures have been replaced by standing clones. This is, by the way, from, let me quote, the humousmathematics.com. That's a very strange domain. Okay. Talking about reptilians? Okay. It's been reported that many public figures have been replaced by standing clones dubbed doubles these days, and thankful the great team Zeta Talk has been keeping track of us. According to Zeta Talk, these military tribunals have been running in the U.S. since the start of 2009. Authored, let's see, there was, I don't want to talk about politics. Hold on. Some things were issues such as treason and crimes against humanity fall under the military purview and allow for a speech trial and a secrecy, commonly resulting in executions or lengthy stays at Gitmo. So in the following article, we're going to talk about human cloning types, real lizard reptilian parasites, and their soul-scaping droning process. They call it the Illuminati ritual, aka the Black Eye Club. I've never heard of this, the Black Eye Club. Interesting. And the executed doubles, actors wearing latex silicone hyperflush skin mask over clonate clones. Sounds like we're reading a sci-fi movie article. But at the same time, whenever we talk about stuff like this, I always say the same thing, right? There's always a truth behind some kind of science fiction. So you got to have an open mind with these things. I don't think people just come out of nowhere and start making this stuff up. So eventually, I do think that there is some kind of truth that maybe gets kind of distorted around along the way. And then at the end of an article or news, you end up realizing that it's exaggerated out of proportion. Some people just like to exaggerate conspiracy theories out of proportion to the level of, believing that we're living in an insanity world. And that's okay, but we're not going to fall into that, of course. Good evening. Hi, how are you? Hi, Brian from Denver. How are you? ¿Cómo estamos? Llegué tarde. Yo también llegué tarde. Hola, Nicolás. ¿Cómo están? Bueno, ustedes... si quieren dar temas, adelante. Hoy vamos a hablar un poquito sobre Encontré un artículo bien extraño, de hecho una página entera con todo este tipo de información. Y yo siempre les digo de que tengan cuidado con el tema de las conspiraciones, ¿no? O sea, no todo hay que tomarlo a pecho. Sí hay ciertas cosas que son reales, pero otras que son como que sacadas de proporción. Entonces, acá habla de los lizards reptilianos, los parásitos que hacen que la persona sea reptiliana y un proceso de droning, le llaman, que supuestamente es algo que hacen los Illuminatis y le llaman el Club del Ojo Negro. Ok, o sea, literalmente es como un ritual para tener un parásito en el ojo y que luego ya no sos tú. Y los clones, ¿no? Que de repente empecé a encontrar un montón de información y ya hemos hablado de los clones. Para mí eso es 100% real. Tengo un familiar en particular que tiene una historia muy loca con el tema de los clones que la he contado antes para no repetirlo. Pero sí, o sea, a ver, la clonación ha estado vigente por muchísimos años y hoy en día pues se sigue haciendo y cuando sale alguien y dicen aquí está mi clon en TikTok, como pasó hace unos años, yo nunca había visto ese video, está bien creepy, donde sale un rapero y dicen sí, este es el modelo número de serie tal, es mi clon hecho en Canadá, en una compañía que se llama también Clonaid. Parece que abiertamente hablan de esto, aunque la clonación supuestamente es ilegal todavía, pero hay personas que ya tienen clones de sus animales. O sea, dicen, sí, ya es el animal número tal, versión número tal de mi Rocky que falleció ya 5 veces. Entonces, ¿qué tal? ¿Clonarían a un animal con tal de tenerlos más largos en su vida? Delicado, ¿no? Porque por un lado, qué chévere, sí tiene todo exactamente lo mismo. Pero al mismo tiempo no va a ser el animal, ¿no? Porque el alma o la energía que tenía el anterior, pues no es. Que tenga el ADN no lo hace específicamente la persona, ¿no? Entonces, ¿qué se está metiendo adentro de estos clones, ¿no? Entonces, una vez hablábamos un poquito sobre esto y yo les explicaba de que cuando se hacen clonaciones, normalmente tiene que haber algún tipo de... un segundito. Tiene que un tipo de ritual que se hace y mucho tiene que ver también la energía sexual, donde invocan entidades, invocan demonios, invocan o sea, energías en general y esas energías pues ocupan el espacio de ese clon. Ahora, que haya como una manipulación energética donde alguien esté creando cuerpos y clones tuyos y de repente diga, sí, porque el día que tú te mueras tu alma va a salir de ahí y va a saltar en este clon, ya sería jugar Dios, ¿no? Y eso no existe. Entonces, quizás a la larga exista una modificación natural donde las almas tengan una oportunidad de poder hacer su proceso más extenso, pero eso no es algo que lo pueda decidir la compañía que hace las clonaciones, ¿no? O sea, eso es algo que simplemente tendría que pasar naturalmente porque van a haber cada vez menos bebés naciendo, ¿no? O sea, cada vez hay más personas infértiles, lamentablemente. Mucho tiene que ver la comida genéticamente modificada, el estrés, la vida en que vivimos, etcétera. Entonces, claro, es cada vez menos niños y sí, hacer la clonación pues algo normal, algo cotidiano, donde tú digas, ay, se me murió mi perrito, vamos vamos a clonarlo para entonces no sufrir. Pero al mismo tiempo, si te pones a pensar, hay tantos animalitos en la calle o niños que son huérfanos, que qué beneficio también, o sea, poniendo encima el egoísmo de decir, pues me clono al gato, me clono al perro. No sé si lo haría. No digo que no, pero tampoco digo que sí. Y después decir, pues hay muchísimos en la calle y en vez de pues clonar algo, mejor adoptar un perro de la calle, ¿no? ¿No les parece? Pero bueno, me siento rara sobre ese tema. No sé qué haría, porque no, es verdad que sí se encariña tanto, tanto, tanto con el animal que, pues, que sí, poder tenerlo por más tiempo en la vida de uno, absolutamente creo que todos agarrarían la posibilidad, si fuera accesible económicamente, que creo que eventualmente sí va a ser accesible, ¿no? Pero me queda en duda el tema del alma, porque sí sé de que han habido casos extraordinarios, y lo sé porque mis meditadores me lo han contado, donde dicen de que en algún momento sí hubo un clon en particular, no sé si se repitió, donde un alma se le metió a ese clon, ¿no? Pero los clones cuando tienen vida de por sí ya están poseídos por una negatividad, están poseídos por una entidad, ¿no? Se hizo todo un ritual, muchas veces teniendo que ver con el tema de sacrificios de animales, o sea, son como trabajos, ¿no? De brujería, podríamos hacer. También las violaciones, o sea, la energía sexual a la máxima negatividad es una invocación a la negatividad pura, literalmente. Entonces, ese es difícil de poder tragar esto, pero no, si tú tienes un clon, no puedes, con que le des vida porque estás haciendo que sus células funcionen y su sangre fluya, ¿no? Y pueda tener algún movimiento y de repente sea normal, es porque hay una energía dentro que lo maneja. O sea, nosotros existimos por una energía, gracias a esa energía tenemos capacidad mental, tenemos posibilidad de tomar decisiones cuerdas o no cuerdas, pero decir así de la nada, como que sí, aquí hay un clon y es una persona, o es un clon como en este video que yo compartí en Twitter, donde el rapero salió y dice, este es mi clon, fíjense, tenemos exactamente los mismos tatuajes, el mismo color de pelo, las mismas arrugas, todo exactamente igual. Pero la persona está viva, entonces, ¿cómo puede? O sea, sí puede ser un clon físico, pero qué hay dentro de ese cuerpo que está haciendo que se pueda mover? Es súper, súper freaky. Y las personas que piensan de que, no, bueno, sí, es la misma persona, que sea físicamente lo mismo, no significa que sea la misma persona, porque lo que te hace existir y lo que te hace único es, al fin y al cabo, tu alma. Y el alma no se puede dividir en dos. Bueno, quizás, pero no. ¿Cómo estás, Tony? Bienvenido, gracias. I don't know anything about this. I can't comment. We're just talking along about sci-fi stuff tonight, you guys. Okay, so apparently there's this company in Canada that is called, I think it was Clonate or something like that. Where I posted a video on Twitter of this rapper. I don't remember his name right now, but anyway, he came out on TikTok Live apparently, and it was him, and then right next to him, it was his so-called clone, and he was just saying my serial number, and they interviewed him and everything, saying this was a couple years back. I don't know, I've never seen it. The guy was saying like my serial number is blah 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 blah, and his serial number is this and that, and we have the same exact tattoos. We have the same exact. Next time when we do this, I'm gonna make sure you guys get the video on our video. That way you know what I'm talking about. But look at my Twitter feed and you'll see. So they were the same age, same wrinkles, same tattoos, same everything. So it's like, yeah, this is my clone. And a lot of people were, of course, didn't believe it, and other people did believe it. Apparently, this company has been running for the longest time. Cloning isn't legal yet, but yet in some countries, there's already people that have a clone of their animals, right? Where you can have the possibility, if your pet dies, to clone their DNA, and all of a sudden you have them again for another however many years. I'm so like in a middle section when it comes to cloning, because 100% yes, of course I believe in this. I mean, I think there's also enough information that it's going to be public eventually. There is already public people that have their animals cloned, so there is legality probably in some countries with cloning in animals, but there's something that still doesn't really fit towards the equation, and it's what energy is inside that animal or what energy is inside that person. Because specifically on that video where this guy came out with his clone next to him, it's like, okay, yeah, dude, it's exactly the same person. This is you. But it's not really you, because your soul is inside of your body. So I know it sounds crazy, but we exist because of an energy. We live because of a soul. We have movement, right? Like everything that is, even the blood running through our veins, you know, all that is, if they created a clone and they're able to awaken it, what is inside of the body to have it have a consciousness, right? Because even if you can clone a mind, what gives the mind the energy to exist is the soul. It's the energy or the spirit or whatever you want to call it. Okay, it's an energy. We all have it. So, so thinking that there's somebody next to you and you can call it a clone is super freaky, just because you're more than likely dealing with an entity. You're more than likely dealing with a species, not a species, sorry, with, some kind of demonic entity that is living with you that, it will do maybe whatever it is that you say because it has your DNA and you can control it. But there is no way of giving life outside the physical realm, right? Because then you would just be playing God. And, well, nobody has that kind of power to say, I summon the souls that are about to enter to go into this, you know, kind of like Frankenstein. Like that's not possible. It goes against human nature. There isn't, I don't think there's a way around this where you could be existing in a physical body and then divide yourself in another one, right? Where all of a sudden, okay, you're cloned and you have two bodies. Because you can only exist, at least up to my knowledge, you know, in one. So I do know that these kind of evil sort of companies, right, that do this, that are trying to make us to live forever, I do know that there has been attempts of rituals, right, where, well, not attempts, but it's real, like people exist that are clones, that what they have inside of them is an energy that is totally manipulated by something or someone else. So these are rituals that are either done through sexual energy, because it's the strongest one, or through sacrifice. This is when you can actually summon a demon, you can summon some kind of negative energy into a body or a thing. I mean, you could make an energy go into an animal, you can make it go into something physical, whatever it is, you can do that. It's just energy work. And yeah, negativity is always out there just waiting to see, okay, what job am I going to get? Come on, just give me somewhere to jump. So it's super, super freaky. Now, if you were to get cloned, right, and then your clone exists after your death, then that's, I think that would be a little more possible. So your energy maybe can be transferred from that body to the next, but at the same time, we are playing with fire because we're going against nature, right? We're supposed to live and die and continue our process. Now, every time we have more infertility, right, in the world, so it's not you know, it's not strange that they're trying to make us live longer. And everybody wants to live longer, of course. So could that maybe be a replacement for the fact that there isn't enough bodies being born for the amount of souls that need to reincarnate to continue? Would you clone yourself? Would you clone your cat? Would you clone your dog? I don't think I would have the heart to clone an animal, because it just wouldn't be that animal, right? Like, it's everything the same, the DNA is the same, but the energy inside the animal, and it's, how could you clone that? There's just no way. I mean, it just goes back to the ether. It goes back to where it came from. There isn't a machine that can control that, or maybe there is. I have heard of machines that trap energies. Yes, these exist, by the way. Really, really freaky stuff. But don't think that because you don't know this, because it's not talked about in the news, that someone in their home or someone in their labs and governments aren't doing all kinds of supersonic testing of machines that you would only imagine exist in a movie. Because, yeah, they're constantly trying to see how they can have control of energy overall. So my mom went to this 14-day retreat of NLP, which is neurological programming. And the guy that's there, he's a really well-known doctor and psychologist, and he's been with a lot of numerous amount of people that work with energy, and I don't know, very, very well known, at least in the Spanish world, in the Latin world, Hispanic. And she was telling me that he was telling a story how there was a guy that invented it. He said the name and everything. I'm gonna ask my mom to Google him. That invented a machine that trapped the sexual energy of people. So like you could be generating sexual energy and he would trap it in a machine, and then you would be able to use that for something that you wanted. And of course he disappeared from the face of the earth. So he got murdered. So it's like every time somebody comes up with some kind of invention, right, that is obviously to be used for our benefit, miraculously out of nowhere, they just tend to disappear. You know, oh, they committed suicide. Oh, they jumped out of the 7th floor. You know, oh, their plane crashed. So it's a pattern that we cannot avoid. Yes, the movies are real. Yeah, people do get hunted down for these things. And now there's somebody that appeared here in Mexico 2 days ago that apparently has the cure for cancer. I'm really afraid for this person's life. I mean, we all know that the big pharmas don't want cure for cancer. I have a really dear friend of mine that has a clinic in Miami, and one of the first, hangouts or meetings that we ever had, she told me these crazy stories about how the insurance companies call her up, basically like complaining why she gives specific medication to certain patients. She has a lot of older patients and works with Medicare, and she says, well, because we're trying to help them, and this is what the doctor ordered. And they would, bitch at her saying like, that medication is too expensive. You need to give them something that's generic in this amount, so the insurance covers it. And remember, this was so freaky, and they said, and remember that we don't care, we don't want to heal them, we want to maintain the customer. So she says she fights with them all the time when they call her, and they're always like threatening her to close her down and stuff. By close her down, I mean like, she has a clinic in Miami that most of these small clinics, like they get funded by like if they, for example, if they take Medicare or Medicaid, or they take Obamacare or whatever kind of Medicaid section, they're aided by the government, right? So by every patient, they get money and they treat them. So yeah, this is real. This happens. So when I heard that, I'm like, oh my God, I knew it was corrupt, but this is just sick. Like to talk about people like they're just things, and it's true. They don't want to heal you. They just want to keep you alive, so they don't kill you. They want to keep you alive but sick. So if they can prescribe something that keeps you in the system, even better. And how many times, are you getting phone calls of, hey, you haven't scheduled your appointment, and then they fight, and companies fight for you, right? When there's insurance. My insurance, I think, changes doctors every couple of months, and I'm like, I didn't do this. And she also told me that. She's like, yeah, that's because in certain clinics, they steal other patients. So they will go into your account, change your primary doctor. You won't even find out about it until you get a call, or all of a sudden you got changed primary doctors. So it's a really freaky conspiracy theory, but it's real. Anyway, so going back to our topic. ¿Cómo estamos, chicos? Yeah, you think so? So going back to reptilians and clones, geez. They're posting like a picture of Adolf Hitler and a gray extraterrestrial. Yes, grays have been around for as long as we've existed, or more, by the way. Let me see. So reptilian consultants helping Nazis. Let's see. They had, if you want to call them consultants, who are reptilian consultants assisting on all these different things that it takes to design and build these spacecraft carriers and propulsion systems. So this is an extremely well-developed program and documented like crazy. Getting copies of the documents was hard for them and for the spies. This was an open program in an other upper level of the SS. The spies learned that the goal of the reptilian plan was not only to assist the Nazis to win the war and achieve planetary conquest, but to build fleets of anti-gravity spacecrafts carried that could be used for interplanetary conquest and other star systems. Yeah, all this, again, you could look for stuff, and there's a lot of documentation on reptilians and people that have had experiences. Everything that we're talking about is just, let's just call it a conspiracy theory because I don't have a fact of it. But it's interesting to think about this, right? To think that, yes, there are alien species probably manipulating a specific part of our world that eventually does influence on us and our energy. But one thing that we have to be aware of and we have to be conscious of is that there is a control mechanism happening, and the lower your energy is and the more you're stuck and the more you're zombied out, the better it is. So it's like, if you look at the world today, there's a lot more happening for us to be manipulated negatively than the other way around. So instead of there being like an overwhelming amount of opportunities for us to grow spiritually, it's the total opposite, where we're going backwards in our spirituality. And just the music, the TV, I mean, everything that you can think of that influences you, that is stalling and blocking and influencing you to generate negative sexual energy, that is where it all begins. So by getting to the point maybe of having control of that 100% would be for us to be all the time with a 3D, in a 3D kind of world, right? Where we're living in virtual reality. That will be the end of our sexual energy. That will be the end of your energy overall, because you no longer are going to have awareness of your energy and what it's wanting to tell you. Remember, your mind needs to be opened. Your mind needs to be awake so you can hear messages, so you can be guided. And if you're always busy like we always talk about, then that's just not going to happen. And that's normally what's happening with most of humanity, where everybody is just asleep. Why would reptilians need to join forces with humans, and what makes you think reptilians are spirits? Nope, I didn't say reptilians were spirit. We were talking about spirit. We were talking about cloning at the beginning. I don't think reptilians have spirits or souls inside of them. It's like a lizard. But they have to have energy, right? But I don't think it would be the same as a soul. Like, I don't think it'll be the same energy as us. We have something that's unique. We have something that a lot of beings don't have, and that's why they come here to kind of investigate on us. Like, what is this power that is inside of us? The only ones that we don't know, about the power that we have, is ourselves. Okay, so you said, what makes you think that? By the way, we're just talking about this. I'm not stating anything. I don't have much information of reptilians other than that my personal connection with them, and they're the ones living underneath the caves of Mexico. It was so weird. So all of a sudden this week I was sent out to pitch black cenote here in Tulum, very close from where I am now. Would ascension get us there? Get us where? Let me tell you a story, and I love that you're into this. And so I'm like, okay, you're gonna get into the dark side of the cenote and make sure all the lights are off, and you're gonna do your meditation, right? Because you guys know, obviously, I do energy work, strong energy work, so it's normal for me. I have contact all the time. It's not something new. I wasn't freaked out, a little bit maybe, but I sat down inside of this cave, right, where it was pitch black. It was almost like a circle, and most of the cenotes, if you ever come to Tulum, they all have these little caves that go deeper and deeper and deeper, right? So we're living on top of of one of the largest underground rivers in the world. So it still hasn't been accessed 100%. I think the National Geographic I think it was National Geographic is the one that actually pays the scuba divers to go ahead and discover how deep it goes. Obviously, they haven't gotten there. But the week that thanks, Mark. But the week that I had this experience, a movie was shown to me. You know, when you're just in line with the universe and things just kind of pop up in front of you. I was scrolling through YouTube, and there was this strange movie, which if I can find the name, I'll share it with you guys, because it wasn't bad. It was like an indie movie, but it was specifically done out of a story of scientists that came to study the cenotes, went into here in the Mayan Peninsula, and it was a true story, and that they found coffins really deep down in the pitch black part of the cenotes, very, very deep down, and all of a sudden got attacked by a reptilian being. So obviously it was kind of a horror movie. So at the end, everybody Well, I just told you the end, but yeah, you know, when they want to exaggerate. So who knows? So this happened in the same 15 days where I had my experience, where the moment that we moved here to Tulum and the moment that I purchased this land that we're standing on, which I know is on top of a very big like energy source. It's something that you just feel, and everybody that comes here feels it. It's really cool. I started it was like 3 weeks of a lot of meditation and communication with these beings. And when I was told, okay, now you need to get closer to them, I'm like, okay, well, let me, and here's me with my adventures, right? So I go to the cenote by myself. It was like 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock or so. I get into the pitch black area. I make sure I take my blindfolds because I'm like, if something appears out of the pitch darkness of this cave, I'm probably gonna drown. Because I've seen them, but it's different when it's a physical contact. You know, it's one thing is having seen them and communicating. Another thing is actually having physical contact. So I wasn't ready for that yet, and I said, let me keep my eyes closed. So I started meditating, and it was immediate. It was an immediate contact. They just started telling me how. A little bit, I think I wrote all this down. I don't remember everything right now because of all my experiences. But one of the things that I remember them saying was that it isn't that they don't like humans. It's just that they don't love us because we contaminate their waters, and it makes total sense. And they would show me like their children and how they would be sick, because remember that the water of the cenotes, if you contaminate the water, that eventually goes deep down. And they say that they have no interest in having any kind of connection with humans because we're in another level, and that they just want to be left alone, you know. So they don't eat meat, so they don't really come out. And that they're very sensitive to light. That's why you never really see them during the day. Now, when we speak about reptilians, there are so many types of reptilians, you guys. It's almost like when you look at a lizard, right? And how many different species of lizards are there? So it's the same thing. So I got to communicate with one part of reptilians, which are here in Tulum. There is many people in Tulum that have had experiences with them as well. There is locals that have run into them physically, always in cenotes, okay, where they always say, that cave is blocked, do not go there, because they're really freaky looking, or at least for us, because you're not used to seeing a crocodile kind of person. In the Amazons, that's very normal. There's also a lot of stories of indigenous people or locals having connections with them, the Shivalbar. So I remember going back to this cenote maybe 3 times that week and having, you know, just because I wanted to know more. And on the... God, I really have a bad memory. That's why I write things down. I think maybe on the second time I went or something, they said, can we touch you? And this is one for me. It was like, oh, okay. So I said yes, you know, because I'm sure of my protection. So I knew that I was safe. And my meditators wouldn't send me anywhere to die. So I was sure that I was in a safe space. And they were being their communication was very fluent. You know, it was just telling me about their lives and what they eat and what they do and where they live. And this, a lot of images, you know, everything is telepathically, by the way. So all of a sudden I said yes, and all of a sudden I feel this, you know, when you have like maybe something like a feather that's going up your leg? Okay, that's exactly how it felt, just underwater. Remember, this is me being totally still in the water, okay? No movement whatsoever, eyes closed, deep breathing, meditating, communicating, and all of a sudden I feel these 3 fingers, but like an algae kind of feeling going up my leg, like, and I freaked out because I made sure I said I didn't want to open my eyes, and I freaked out a little bit because I didn't know if they were actually physically there, because I felt them physically there, like I felt their presence, and it was more than one of them. But I was told later on that they were never really in front of me, that it was their energy. So this, you know, they said it's very easy for them to leave their bodies, so they can be thousands of miles deep down in the water, but they can feel when you want to communicate them, and if they want, right, they will make contact. So, so it was, can we touch you? And it was the strangest, most beautiful thing that I will never forget. That feeling of almost like little bubbles going up my leg. And there was some other stuff I can't remember now. but I'll have to look back on my notes. This is like one out of hundreds of experiences that I've had. But I never went back. I was asked. They asked me to take an apple the next time, and my meditator said it wasn't necessary. They said they just did that to see if they can trust you, but they're not going to eat the apple. And I don't remember if I ever took the apple or not. I think I just got distracted with some other stuff. But yeah, if you guys ever want a reptilian experience, make sure you visit Tulum and get into a really dark side of a cenote. But I cannot promise that you're going to get out of there. Are they dangerous? If you are a danger to them, then I'm sure they're reptilians, so they won't think twice in protecting themselves. But I think it's like everything in life. I mean, it's like if you see a lion, like, are they dangerous? Well, if you fuck with it, sure, it's dangerous. But if you just let it, everybody just wants to exist. There are beings that don't just want to exist and want to ruin your life, but that would just make them negative. So just like there's positive humans, there's also negative humans. Just like there's positive souls, there's negative demons and entities. So in everything, you can't ever generalize. So if somebody comes out and says, "Oh, all of the Greys are bad," or "all of the reptilians are bad," no, that's bullshit. There's an energy that divides the good and the bad, and it's just you always have to feel your energy inside. How do you feel if you were ever to have some kind of contact? And I've always said this to you guys because it's inevitably, eventually, that everybody is going to have some kind of contact. There's going to be people that are not going to stand it, that are going to say it's just an illusion and maybe commit suicide because it's too much to handle. And then there's others that you've been hearing about this for so long that you're kind of already psychologically prepared for it, so it's okay. But how do you know if you're in the presence of something negative or in the presence of something good? Your energy will never lie to you. So you just have to have that perception awakened, right? Where you're going to either feel a lot of fear or you're going to feel nervous because it's something new, obviously, shock. So you're going to feel a nervousness, but you're going to feel safe. Don't ask me exactly how. It's just, you're going to feel safe. You're going to feel like it's okay, So it's normal to be nervous because it's something out of your normality. But when you feel fear, that is the negativity radiating towards you. That is when you need to run. Don't stay in chat. Astral projection, or where you in a depreciation tank, how do you encounter them? No, it was so every cenote in Tulum, especially the caves, but even the open ones, they all have these tunnels going really deep down. And so yeah, it's like astral projection, absolutely. So they've sent a lot of scuba divers, down there to check. So they'll do lifelines, but nobody really gets to the bottom because it's just like the bottom of the ocean. I mean, we haven't gotten there yet. There's so many things that we can't possibly imagine that do exist there, just like in the center of the earth. Do you have you ever thought that there's life in the center of the earth? There's a story that they opened, that they reached the center of the earth somewhere in Antarctica or Russia or something, and they had to close it because they started hearing screaming of creatures. So yes, there is life more than you can imagine everywhere, underneath us, on top of us. We are not alone. We are not the only ones. And it's just, I think, in my perspective, I like talking about these things because for most people that think that this is crazy, at least hearing about it at some point in your life will not make you go through that process of, holy shit, I'm going to commit suicide because I feel helpless when something like this comes up. Because like I said, it is going to be inevitable that everybody will eventually have contact of some sort until it's a massive contact. So you don't have to believe me. I'm nobody for you to believe, but just have an open mind that there are other things out there that are way apart from our consciousness that we've been taught from little. We only think that the things that we've been taught since we're little are real, but there's so much more out there that it's limitless. There is no limit. It's infinite. The situations, species, energies, dimensions, it's just they're unlimited. So just keep that open mind. So if something ever does happen, in front of you, you don't fall into that desperation of, I can't do anything about this. Let me just die. Yes, so astral projection. Dicen, proyección astral, ¿estabas en un tanque de depresión o estabas en un cenote? So it was a cenote, and there are several, if you speak to locals, especially Mayan locals, they have a name for them, but you know, for everybody, it's just reptilians. And yeah, there's many stories of people that, of course, nobody comes out and reports about this. We are hoping to start our paranormal show this Sunday. So I've been wanting to do this for the longest time just because we have so many of these experiences, but I've never, for me, it's not important, you know, it's never been about getting it on video, right? But I feel like there's such a movement with all this stuff that, hey, if I can have somebody follow me around in my crazy paranormal experiences and we can get something on film, then that would just be a plus. But it's never the purpose. I mean, these things are very delicate. You don't joke around with these things as much as I find it funny when people do these kind of shows, like paranormal shows, and they end up, you know, they end up getting into these demonic places, and you see them throughout the years how they start getting tattoos all over their bodies. They start changing. They might have a lot of money, but remember, every time you step into a place where the energy is not yours, and especially like asylums or places that are abandoned where there's a lot of negativity, or even aliens, because yes, they are here, you know, you are going to bring that stuff home, and that's what most people don't understand, and they think it's a joke. No, you don't joke about this stuff, guys. You know, you don't have a protection. You don't have a protection towards aliens. So either you know what you're doing or just stop doing it. It's not funny for you to go to a place and taunt the spirits that are there, that are in pain, by the way, and being trapped by demons and negativity, and for you to just get a fun show out of it. So normally the paranormal shows really piss me off because I don't find it funny. You know, if you can do something about it, that's different. So that's what we do. We actually do something about it. So when you work with energy, you're able to release these souls. You're able to help them. You're able to push out entities from a place and clear out the space. So this is what I want to portray with this show that we're going to start doing. So another thing that it's super intriguing is that when you work with energy, and imagine like a spark, right? So you can have this spark of energy being sent out or emanated, and if there's something negative in the room, negative and positive immediately do a spark. Okay, so this is what we're hoping we can achieve, because we've already have done it years ago, where this idea came up and we wanted to do the show, but we kind of just left it back then. And I feel like, okay, now, because of all this that's happening, and because of all the invasions that are happening with entities and even aliens, the places where they're most active are in the jungles. You guys know I live in the jungles of Tulum, right? Yeah. Oh man, if I would tell you the stories when I just moved here, it's, yeah, I mean, to the point where you just stay still and not move, okay? But normally the jungles, just like the Amazon, right? And here in the Yucatan Peninsula, when there's not a lot of movement by people, where it's just dark, this is the specific places where they either hide out or they hang out or they come down, right? And then they leave again. So yeah, we're in a perfect paranormal spot, and I'm like, there has to be places. And every time we go somewhere now, it's somebody tells us a story of the chupacabra, or they tell us a story about this family that turns into wolves, or they turn into an animal and come back. And it's like a very normal topic here, because everybody that lives in very, very poor small towns has seen some kind of stuff or has had encounters. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting journey next year with this stuff. Anyway, where were we? I totally lost my Spanish guests. Bueno, entonces, perdón, estaba mucho en inglés. Estábamos hablando un poquito de los reptilianos. No sé cómo terminé contándoles una historia de un experimento que hicimos una vez donde me dijeron mis meditadores, a ver, bueno, vas a ir a un cenote, de hecho es un cenote que está muy cercano acá, sola, en la oscuridad. Literalmente era meterme al agua en una parte. Si nunca han venido a Tulum, los cenotes tienen como cuevas, y de esas cuevas salen muchos brazos de cuevas más profundo, ¿ok? Entonces, Hay muchas personas que han intentado como que cada vez descubrir más y más de nuestro río subterráneo. Es uno de los ríos subterráneos más grandes del mundo, pero solo han descubierto hasta la tercera parte, imagínense ustedes. Entonces, todo está en el National Geographic. Si quieren ver la historia de los cenotes y todo, creo que el documental está ahí. Siempre tienen buzos que salen y ponen sus líneas de vida y empiezan a hacer, empiezan a hacer su recorrido, ¿no? Hasta donde lleguen. Y estos 15 días, no ahora, esto fue como hace 2 años, en esos 15 días que a mí me dijeron, bueno, vas a tener un contacto reptiliano y yo, ok, chévere. Parte de mi vida es normal, sí, ya sé. Mucha gente, a mí no me interesa, yo no cuento estas historias para que me crean, chicos. Son divertidas de contar porque pues son reales, pero no significa que ustedes lo tomen como algo real. Así que siempre les digo a mis miembros, tómenlos como una historia de ciencia ficción que les estoy contando. Entonces, para nosotros es muy normal tener contactos con seres, trabajamos con energía muy fuerte, o sea, lo que quieran llamarle, nombres que les pongan, no tenemos ni idea, lo único que sabemos es que es muy delicado, no es algo que de repente alguien salga y diga, ay, quiero hacer algo paranormal, o quiero a ver si tengo un contacto, o sea, porque tu energía tiene que estar muy, pero muy, muy elevada para realmente tener algún tipo de protección ante estas entidades. Es muy difícil y por eso la mayoría de personas que saben de estas entidades las respetan demasiado y cuantos menos saben, hasta mejor. Nos pasa con algunos amigos nuestros que creen en los extraterrestres, pero dicen, creo tanto de que no quiero hablar del tema, porque saben de que son indefensos. En fin, entonces hablábamos de los reptilianos, ¿por qué? Porque tenemos un artículo donde dicen que las conspiraciones diciendo de que los reptilianos son los que en muchos casos en los Illuminati se hacen unos rituales, que es cuando la lombriz, el lizard, sería el parásito del reptiliano, se mueve de un cuerpo al otro, ¿no? Que es donde supuestamente dicen que salen el grupo de los Illuminati, que no son humanos, que han hecho un pacto, le dicen con el diablo, pero en realidad son pactos energéticos. Y bueno, sí, por supuesto, te prometen fama, dinero, éxito, pero éxito de fama y dinero. Nunca te van a prometer, ¿no?, salud o mucho menos amor, porque el amor es parte de la positividad. Por eso vemos tantas personas que son exitosas al extremismo, perdón, exitosas no, retiro lo dicho, personas que son muy ricas en un caso ya como que extremo de exageración, pero no tienen éxito en el amor, o sea, siempre tienen problemas o de salud o en el amor. Entonces, sí, efectivamente hay personas que hacen pactos con seres, no necesariamente tienen que ser reptilianos, pueden ser hasta entes negativos. Tengo la historia propia de mi mamá, algún día la voy a volver a invitar para que les cuente la historia, la cuenta súper chévere, donde nuestra familia, hay familias en el mundo, muchas familias que tienen dones. Esos dones se pasan de persona a persona normalmente, más que nada en las mujeres, ¿ok? Porque la mujer es como que la que tiene ese don de pues dar la vida, ¿no? Dar la luz. Entonces la luz se establece más que nada más en mujeres que en hombres. Sin embargo, los hombres son los que canalizan la luz para las mujeres. A ver, no sé si me explico. Quizás Enrique ahora puede ayudarme y me da un comentario porque eso es algo que él hace. ¿Tenés algo para comentar sobre lo que estamos hablando? Sí, rescátame.
Te quería aclarar, cuando hablaste recién de los dones y que se van heredando, van quedando dentro de la familia.
¿Ves que tenemos telepatía?
En el tema espiritual se basa la época de los reyes. Fíjate que los reyes siempre está el sucesor que tiene que ver dentro de la misma familia. O sea, no hay un sucesor de afuera, no se puede poner un rey externo a lo que sería la familia, porque se van heredando. Y con la parte espiritual es exactamente lo mismo. O sea, quienes tienen un don espiritual para algo en especial, seguramente uno de los hijos, quizás el mayor, sea el que tenga siempre el mismo don que lo va siguiendo. En otros casos serán otros hijos menores, pero siempre los dones tienen que ver dentro de la misma familia.
Ok. Bueno, entonces, hablando de esto, en un momento en la vida de mi madre, tuvo ella y mis abuelos que vivían en ese momento, Dice que llegó a la casa y hubo una tía mía que hacía canalizaciones de entidades muy fuertes, pero canalizaciones, digamos, de que no tenía control, a toda hora, en cualquier momento se le metía una entidad y terminaba, por ejemplo, si entraba una entidad que era casi animal, como un león. Ella actuaba como un león, caminaba como un león, le curaba la pierna. Mi papá había tenido un accidente y le iban a amputar la pierna. Le curaba la pierna con la lengua a mi papá. A ver si me están escuchando bien. La voy a invitar para que se los cuente porque es bien friki. Y dice que pues él se sanó, o sea, no se la tuvieron que amputar. Esta mujer canalizaba pues entidad tras entidad para hacerle sanación a la pierna de mi padre. Milagro en el hospital, obviamente, porque nadie lo podía creer, los avances, y, o sea, les quitaba, se tomaba y se tragaba todo el pus, o sea, algo de locos. Y cada persona que canalizaba, pues terminaba requiriendo algo diferente. Dice que habían entidades que pedían vino, otras entidades que pedían que los lleven al mar, y de repente la tenían que llevar tiesa, que no se podía mover, al medio del mar, tirar, literalmente dejarla flotar, y que a las 6 horas aparecía de nuevo. Hecha, perdón la palabra, mierda, por supuesto, ¿no? Porque cuando no tenés control de lo que canalizás, pues cualquier cosa se te mete. Por supuesto, eso arruinó su vida porque estuvo lejos de mis primos, o sea, no pudo ser una madre. Y bueno, problema tras problema porque no había control de lo que entraba, y muchas veces entraban cosas muy malas. Entidades muy malas. Entonces dice que una vez entró al cuarto y de repente le dijeron, ¿sigues tú? Le dicen a mi mamá, y mi mamá, ¿cómo así que sigo yo? Y entra al cuarto y de repente ella había canalizado podríamos decir que la oscuridad, ¿no? O al diablo, o como le quieran llamar, o a una entidad muy negativa. Y que sentó a uno por uno de mi familia y les dijo de que, dicen que los miraba de arriba abajo y les decía o sea, las cosas materiales que te gustaban. Entonces que a ella le dijeron, veo de que te gusta vestirte bonito, porque ella se mandaba a hacer la ropa y los zapatos, siempre estaba muy coqueta. Y te gusta maquillarte, y te gusta y te gusta lo material. Bueno, yo te puedo dar todo eso y mucho más, pero tienes que trabajar para mí. Recuerden, estamos hablando de familias con dones, ¿ok? Que es la familia mía. Y como la mía, muchas que hay en el mundo, o sea, que son cosas que se heredan. Welcome. Entonces, que le dijeron que, bueno, que su don, o sea, su energía, el trabajo de energía que hacían, pues tenía que favorecer a la oscuridad. Y obviamente le dijeron que no, pero nadie sabía la respuesta del otro. Había pasado mi abuelo, había pasado mi abuela, había pasado mi tío, había pasado ella, y al final pasó mi papá. Y todos les dijeron que no, obviamente, o sea, porque no. O sea, mi abuela era muy de rezar el rosario todo el tiempo y crear hasta milagros solamente haciendo eso. Y al fin del cabo a todos le dijeron lo mismo. Bueno, si no van a trabajar para nosotros, entonces absolutamente todo, thank you, absolutamente todo lo que ustedes intenten construir, van a tener que hacerlo 3 veces, porque 3 veces se lo vamos a dar abajo. Y tal cual, así como se lo dijeron, tal cual pasó por el resto de su vida. Pero bueno, salieron adelante con mucho más esfuerzo necesitado de lo que necesitaría una persona normal, pero salieron adelante. Entonces yo digo, la luz siempre gana, ¿no? ¿Cómo terminamos hablando de esto? Ya perdí el hilo. ¿Cómo terminamos hablando de esto? Hablando de los reptilianos. Welcome, guys. So I have no idea how I ended up talking about that. I was telling you guys a story about, what was it, because of the reptilians? Y acá que encima nadie me presta atención, así que no saben tampoco por qué terminé hablando de eso. Era por los reptilianos, ¿no? Claro, pero ¿por qué? Estábamos hablando de las cuevas, ahí va. Ya que va. So I don't know how I ended up talking the story about my mom. So there's a lot of families, you guys, in the world that have gifts of energy. These are basically like these little spheres, positive energy spheres that live in the person, but you have to awaken it and work on it to be able to, let's say, establish that gift, right? And I'm going to say gift, quote unquote, because everybody's able to work with their energy and heal themselves and even channel energy for another person to help them out. out, okay? But there's specific lineage of families that generation through generation, there's gifts that are passed along. An example, somebody that's coming here on Monday, her name is Maya, you know, like her mom has an incredible gift of channeling and she inherited it, you know. The sense, my family, for example, coming from my great-grandmothers, grandmothers, and then my mom, and then me, and now my niece. So these let's say energy workers, right, what we call, is something that you inherit, but you can also adapt if you really like the subject, of course. It's something that you're kind of just born with, that you are made to work with the light. It's just how it is. It's something that drives you. It's not about the money. It's just it's a passion. Okay, it's kind of like if you're born and you're supposed to be this amazing, gracias, Bandit. If you're born and you're supposed to be this amazing like piano player, where that is your passion. Okay, well, my passion is energy work. That is why I exist. That is my motivation. And also, because it's so interesting and there's always new things to discover. So I don't know why I ended up talking about the story, but let me tell you a story that happened to my mom where I had an aunt, well, I have an aunt, but she doesn't do this anymore, that used to channel energies very like without control. So every energy that she used to channel, when my dad had a really bad accident where his leg was going to be amputated, you know, they would do rituals to heal his leg, and he ended up not having to get it amputated. But my aunt would channel these entities that some of them would be like, for example, like a lion. So if this entity of a lion came down on her, she would all of a sudden get on her hands and knees, growl like a lion, and she used to lick the it's really gross. She used to lick the open wound of my father and remove the pus, you know, like infection from it. So this happened many, many times. After that one, it would be another person that would come down, and every entity that would enter that woman's body would demand something. Some of them would demand wine or food. Others would demand, there was one that used to demand for her to be taken to the ocean, right? This really weird stuff that you would say, this has to be written into a paranormal movie. And they said that when this entity came down that would demand be sent to the ocean, she said that my aunt would get like really, really stiff and nobody could move her. Like there would be nothing that would be, you could not move her arms, you could not move her legs, nothing. And that they would have to carry her like a stick, put her inside of the car and send her to the ocean. And that she would disappear for like 6 hours the next morning. This was in New York, by the way. Was it in New York? No. New Jersey. And 6 hours, very cold, by the way, and 6 hours later in the morning, she would appear again, and of course, really frozen, and she wouldn't remember anything, just that she was back. So there are a lot of people that have these kind of channels open that they have no clue how to handle them, and this is when bad stuff starts to happen. And the worst thing is that the story didn't end up so well. It ended up, you know, good for my dad because he didn't have to get his leg amputated after so many sessions. But throughout the years, this consumed her, because not having entities enter your body constantly without knowing if it's positive or negative, and just she started channeling, like her channel got broken, so she started channeling only negative stuff. And one day, my mom says that they came into a room. I'm going to invite her so she could tell you the story because she says it so well. And she says that my grandparents were there, my dad was there, his brother, and then her. And that they all looked at her and said, "We have a visitor." And she would be like, "Okay." So they said, "We all went already. Now it's your time to pass, to go to the interview." So she goes in the room, and my aunt is sitting there, and that she's obviously not her, and that it's this demon or devil or entity or whatever you want to call it, but it was like a representation of negativity inside of her, right? And that she looks at her and she says, "Oh, I see that you like to wear nice clothes," because my mom used to always get her clothes particularly made for her because she's really short, so the shoes and everything would always have to match. And says, "I see you like to wear nice things and you like money," you know. So they get to you through like that, the weak side, right? And that she says, Yeah, I do. And so I can give you that and so much more, but all you have to do is work for us. And this was an offering that was done to my family too, from from every lineage basically. At some point where you're offered, if you have a gift, you're offered to use it for negativity. That's why you have people that work with negative energy and people that work with positive energy. Those that work with negative energy, which I've met a lot, like Brazilians that have Umbanda or Kimbanda or that kind of religion, and they have an entity inside of them. That entity helps them, okay? So it helps them get business deals. It helps them, be strong. It helps them get things. But when it comes to love and health, they can't do anything because that belongs to the light. So all of them said no. And when my mom said no, and they said that all of them got the same answer, which was, well, since you're saying no, then everything, all of your family, all of you, everything you ever built will fall 3 times before it's ever successful. And just like that was said, that's exactly what happened to my parents and to my grandparents and everybody that was in the room for as long as they can remember, and they were still successful. My parents were still able to build a beautiful farm in Uruguay, and it's still there. And they were able to grow. They started from nothing, immigrants in the U.S. as well, from Colombia and from Uruguay. But it was difficult, and my mom said that she was never able to really, let's say, bring her gift to work because something would always stop her. And then it stopped with me, because I said, I'm not going to be part of this game. But so having these contacts, having these experiences, you guys, when it comes to paranormal or energies, we're all exposed to it constantly. It's just that we're not always aware of it. And if it's something that drives you, if it's something that you feel is calling you, I definitely recommend that you find somebody that is already in that route so they can guide you, because there is thousands of people in the world with, possibilities of being able to be stronger channels than normal people that are lost, because nobody's there to guide them. Nobody's there to, and this is something that you just feel. One day you're just going to wake up and you're going to feel a calling. You're going to feel like there's something you need to do, and you're not going to know what it is, but this is the moment when you're going to start to just allow yourself to be guided, okay, and kind of just put in yourself and your energy to the universe, and that goes for everybody anyway. Just be aware. Anyway, so I have no idea how I ended up talking about that. I know we were talking about reptilians. I think it was because we were going to get to the point where I was going to tell you how, yes, reptilians can't jump you and get control of you, because last show we were talking about this, but not reptilian-wise. But yes, there are indeed these little kind of worms that get inside of people, and you could call them, what did they call them? Vrills? Parasites, yeah, they're like parasites that a lot of people in the world have them. It's a parasite inside of it. Normally they deposit themselves on their neck, so right here. It could also be kind of like a weird looking cockroach, or we call them siempies. It looks like a siempes, it's those little bugs that have like 1,000 feet. Okay, that's also what they look like. There's different types of them from different species, and you'd be surprised how many people have this inside of their necks. It's sickening. There is some kind of invasion happening. It's been happening for the past years. It's just, that's when you no longer have control of yourself. You have no control of your decisions. And that's what we were talking about the other day. It's just, we were only talking about energy spheres, remember? Now today, the topic was supposed to be these parasites. So we're gonna continue talking about this next Monday, because I wanna get a little bit more in depth with it and tell you my experiences with these parasites, how, you're able to remove them. Yes, absolutely. But it's really freaky. There's some really freaky stuff going on. Centipede, thank you. Yes, it's like a centipede. The way that I hear it in people, it's immediately when you put a hand with energy or something with energy, you hear like inside of the person. It's really scary. And the person hears it too. That's a weird thing. So it's asleep until something makes it kind of... So obviously anything that's negative inside of the body, once you emit some kind of positivity to it, some light to it, it gets uncomfortable, okay? So that's when it moves, and that's where you can spot it. Really freaky stuff, you guys. All right, my loves, we're going to continue on. It's Friday, right? I don't even know what day we're in. Bueno, chicos, no los dejé hablar hoy, lo siento mucho. Nos vemos el lunes que viene. Vamos a continuar hablando de esto, que son los parásitos. Parásitos que pueden meter los reptilianos en nuestros cuerpos, sí, absolutamente. No piensen de que todos los reptilianos son malos, no es así. De hecho, o sea, todos son especies que simplemente buscan sobrevivir. Solo de que, claro, si nosotros contaminamos sus aguas y contaminamos donde viven, porque son sensibles a la luz, pues entonces no nos van a no les vamos a caer muy bien, que digamos, ¿no? Somos una especie de mierda para ellos en realidad. Lo que hay que saber pues es no tener miedo ante estas cosas tampoco, o sea, sí, pero sí tener la mente abierta para que el día de mañana cuando tengas algún tipo de experiencia, porque creo que es inevitable de que todos en algún momento en esta vida van a tener alguna experiencia, no se friquen y no se suiciden y no se vuelvan locos, ¿ok? Nos estamos viendo el lunes, entonces, Alfonso, gracias. Satanists talk about reptilians a lot. Interesting, okay. I assume you're not a Satanist, not that it would be a problem, I'm just curious, like Wiccan. No, I am not a Satanist. Oh man, no. Elon Musk is probably a benevolent, non-Earth humanoid alien of some kind. Well, the thing is, it doesn't matter if they're an alien. What matters is that if they're doing good, right? If they're doing bad. But we're not. I never fall into conspiracy theories when it has to, like, talking about specific people, because it's like talking trash about them. So I always just talk generic. Now, unless you have proof that that person is or has what we're talking about, then that's different. But then again, proof could be altered today with the internet. So we're living in such a thin ice where so many things are out to our position to search online. But then there's something else that debunks it. So that's why I don't think that this is a topic to be going crazy about. I just think that it's important to know that these things exist, and yes, they are rituals and stuff that happens. So I am going to talk about this on Monday about parasites, which is where we were going until I just got totally distracted. So the parasites that reptilians or other species are able to put inside of you and control you. Absolutely, 1000%. This is real. And the reason why I'm telling you it's real, because I've dealt with it, okay? And I treat people that have this. So it's just energy, you guys. And yes, there are, like we said at the beginning, unlimited amount of species and things that we're not aware of. But the important thing is just to be positive. That's going to protect you from any of this stuff. Positivity and your strength and your sexual energy, which is the strongest energy, like we always say, that's what's going to protect you. It's just your channel being open so you can channel positive energy. That's all. Muy bien. And if you guys have articles or something that you want me to read live about the subjects, definitely send them over. My email is jenny@miamitvhd.com. Or if you have experiences, I would love to hear. Bueno, chicos, no se olviden, si tienen algún comentario, tema de estos, porque me dicen, estás hablando de los reptilianos, no eres satanista, ¿no? Porque los satanistas hablan mucho de los reptilianos. Digo, no, absolutamente. Pero si tienen ustedes algunos artículos o información o experiencias en estas cosas, me encantaría leerlos. El lunes que viene continuaremos con el tema. No se olviden de suscribirse en miamitvhd.com. Nos vemos en la próxima. Estén positivos y sonrían. We'll see you guys next Monday. For the rest of you, we'll continue now with a positive energy nude seminar in miamitvhd.com. Go ahead and subscribe if you want to join our seminars. And don't forget, we also have live shows like the ones we're doing now from the bars of Tulum, where I am totally nude, interviewing people about sexual energy, their thoughts. Even, actually, we should bring up some paranormal stuff with our questions. And then dares of sexual energy, putting people really on the verge of that comfort zone where they can either pass the comfort zone of the taboo that we have towards our body and sex overall, or stay stuck in that matrix. See you guys Monday, and see you now in miamitvhd.com. Kisses. Lindo día.